This is Super Black, and I am your host, Carl Waldron. And today's episode are the 7 black characters that are not black, but are totally black. Once again, you are listening to Super Black. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe on any or all of your favorite podcasting apps. Just want you to know that I appreciate you, and I appreciate your time. Let's get into it. So, we, and by we I mean me, wrote an article a long time ago called The 7 Black Characters That Are Not Black, But Are Totally Black. Now, I know it's a very long title. I could not for the life of me figure out how to shorten it, but I like it now. It's in there. It's in the SEO. But I wanted to take this time to not only expand on that list with some extra zhuzh being my voice, but also add in some different characters. So we have another piece in this, series, as it were, called, 7 other characters that are not black, but are totally black. And that's coming out very soon. But I wanted to do it in audio form, honestly. So let's hop right into the list with my top pick. This is the pick that literally spawned the idea for the list. It's a character that I grew up watching that I always thought was totally a black guy, even though he is green. And that is everyone's favorite stepdad, Piccolo. If you have ever watched any Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo is the stoic, sort of loving, hard to get along with stepdad that I feel a lot of people have seen before in life. Piccolo's overall demeanor reminded me of my dad. Whenever he would pick me up from school, I would, run out the school building and my dad would be across the street with his arms folded, not smiling, with shades on so you couldn't see his eyes. And he would be like a statue. He would just be standing there waiting for me. And, my friends would be terrified of him because he was just this very large man who was very, unapologetically stone-faced. And, you grow up with your parents, so kind of what they look like, how they are all day. So to me, he just looked normal, but my friends would always be terrified of him. So one day I remember running across the street with a buddy of mine, and I ran up to my dad, I hugged him. I don't remember if he hugged me back. I'm sure he did. But my friend was standing there just kind of peering up at this guy. And I kind of tapped him and said, "Say hi." I tapped my friend. He goes, "Hello." And my dad just kind of looked down and he just nodded. And from underneath his arm, he had his arms folded, like I said, he pulled out a bag of French fries from McDonald's, because there was a McDonald's around the corner. And that would usually be my treat. He would buy me French fries on our way back home. See, he did love me. And he hands me the bag. He doesn't say anything to the guy, my friend, and then just starts walking. And I feel like that is Piccolo's energy in a nutshell. He's gonna love you, and by you I mean someone like Gohan, or any of Goku's kids, honestly, but Gohan specifically. He's gonna love him, but he's gonna be tough. He's gonna have this hard outer shell. And from Piccolo's voice to his mannerisms to his, I don't even know. And fighting style is kind of hard to pinpoint, but his facial structure, everything. I mean, it's anime, but everything about Piccolo screams like there is a black dude under there. And I'm almost certain the reason the Dragon Ball live action movie didn't work was because it was garbage. But a big portion of that was that Piccolo wasn't cast as a black dude. They cast the dude who played Spike, and that's just wrong. The whole cast was wrong, right? We know this. The entire cast was wrong. The entire movie was wrong. It's an abomination. No idea why they cast all those people who have nothing to do with it. They didn't look anything like the characters. But one of the most egregious. They're all egregious, but for the sake of this conversation, one of the most egregious that they didn't cast a black man as Piccolo. Now, close your eyes and just picture that character in that live action movie cast as a competent black actor. And it'll probably make the movie a little better in your mind. I couldn't tell you who could play Piccolo. Yeah, I can't even pinpoint one character actor who would play a good Piccolo. But I know that guy Spike wasn't it. So that's number one. Piccolo is a Namekian. He's green. They never mention that the Namekians are black people. It's not a thing. But Piccolo specifically, you know it in your heart of hearts, if you are a Dragon Ball Z fan. Piccolo is everybody's black stepdad. Number 2 on the list of 7 black characters that are not black but are totally black is Zavala from the Destiny franchise. I am an enormous, huge fan of Destiny. It's the only game I play now as an adult. It's my quiet time game. And one of the interesting facts I found out about some of the NPCs in Destiny 2 is that a big portion of the major characters are voiced by black actors. Or, not all black actors. Ikora is a black woman, but she's voiced by a Spanish woman. Lord Shaxx, the Crucible director, is voiced by Lenny James, who is from The Walking Dead. I believe it was Morgan. Zavala, the topic of conversation, is voiced by the ever-present Lance Reddick. First of all, what a fantastic name. Let's give it up. Applause for that name. Lance Reddick, fantastic name. And you want to talk about someone with an amazing voice? No, not me. Lance Reddick has one of the best voices in the game. He's not only is his voice impossible to miss, it is commanding, it is powerful, it is unique, and the moment Zavala speaks in game, you believe his conviction, you believe his determination, and you believe that he's black. Now, the character in the game is not a black man. He's an Awoken, which is a race of people in Destiny who their skin color is sort of this opaque blue, and it has kind of floating nonsense in it. It's hard to explain. They're space-looking people. You know, they look human, but their skin is a little translucent, a little blue, with sort of starry kind of stuff. It's hard to explain again. I'll put it in the show notes. But the Awoken is the race, right? But Zavala specifically looks like a bald-headed black guy. And it's fitting that the voice of that guy is Lance Reddick. Oh, and also the Lord Saladin, who runs the Iron Banner, is a black dude. So the Vanguard in Destiny 2, I'm getting so nerdy right now. The Vanguard in Destiny 2 are comprised of very powerful black people, which we've written an article about. It's on the site. Go check that out. Next entry. Very personal entry to me. And almost predates Piccolo for me, actually. This is the original Black Panther, Panthro, from the Thundercats. Bet you didn't see that one coming. So, Panthro was voiced in the early 80s cartoon, was voiced by Earl Hyman, who played the grandfather on The Cosby Show. So, picture that guy. If you've ever watched The Cosby Show, he was he was a fixture on that show. He was always a great addition to the episodes. And, regardless of how you feel about the main guy in that show. The granddad was also a fantastic addition in that series, and obviously was a black man, and played the voice of Panthro, who, again, kind of reminded me of my dad. Now, I think I've said this on another episode before, but Panthro was one of my favorite characters growing up as a child, and my mother bought me the Panthro action figure. I didn't have any other Thundercats action figures, just Panthro. And for some reason, that was totally fine with me. I didn't want any of the other ones. Whenever I watched the cartoon, whenever Panthro was on, I was fixated on him, and I didn't know why. Today, I'm almost 99% sure the reason why I was so enamored with Panthro as a character was, one, he was voiced by Earl, who, I grew up watching The Cosby Show, so I didn't even know at that time I was kind of associating Panthro with the grandfather from The Cosby Show. But also in a similar vein, Panthro, I identified with him because of that kind of connection. I knew that, the grandfather from Cosby Show was a black guy, and when I heard his voice, it sort of triggered a thing in my mind to like that character, to identify with that character. And I always felt like that character in the show, Panthro, in that show, was like the old, wise black guy who was kind of leading the team. And if you don't know anything about the Thundercats, it's a very strange show. Anthropomorphic cats from space, who their king, Lion-O, is a boy who they rapidly age into adulthood so that he can lead the team. So it's an adult with the mind of a child given the strongest sword of their race, like to be king, and he gets sent to fight I forget Amon-Ra. I can't remember the name of the villain, but he gets sent to fight this guy with his team of other anthropomorphic cats, but they are there basically to guide him into becoming a better king. Again, he doesn't have the mind of an adult, so they have to kind of teach him to be a king. And Panthro was at the forefront of that. He was the mechanic, he was the driver, he was the heavy, he was the strong one, And not technically, a lot of times the black characters are usually the heavies. They're the bruisers. And that's what Panthro was. So coupled with the voice connection, kind of his overall look and demeanor, I always felt in the back of my mind as a child, I was putting things together and associating myself with Panthro because I felt he was like me. He didn't look like me. He was a blue cat man, but you kind of get the picture. Number 4 on the list of 7 black characters that are not black but are totally black is Powerline from the Goofy movie. Have you seen the Goofy movie? You want to talk about a fantastic animated feature with some of the most banging music ever put in an animated film? All thanks to Powerline. Now, if you don't know anything about Goofy and kind of Goofy's universe, is that it's a universe of sentient dogs, like dog humans, which always rub me the wrong way because they treat Pluto like an actual dog, but he's just a dog and so is Goofy. It's all very strange. But that being said, Powerline is a pop culture icon in that universe. He is an R&B singer. He shows up in the Goofy movie and he puts on a bunch of concerts. But the kicker is he's totally a black dude. Like they draw him with a fade, like a high top fade, and there are interviews from back in the day where it was said that he was inspired by Bobby Brown, Michael Jackson, and Prince. And he was eventually voiced by the singer Tevin Campbell. And all of those influences and that, R&B singing voice culminate in one of the best friggin' characters ever animated. Powerline is amazing. I implore you, go look on TikTok and find anyone doing the Powerline dance. It's amazing. Go look up. I'll find clips of Powerline and put it in the show notes just so you can see. My goodness, it is. You want to talk about bangers? Stand out, banger song. Eye to Eye. Oh my goodness. Go on Spotify or Pandora or wherever you listen to music right now. Go on YouTube. Look up Eye to Eye by Tevin Campbell. Woo! That song is a banger. If we listen to... I'm not going to sing the whole song. Find we're never too far apart. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about fantastic music. And okay, I'm gushing about the music and everything, but Powerline is totally a black R&B star within the realm of the Goofy universe. He's a dog, too. He has a long floppy ears, but he's a dog with a fade. A high top fade with the cuts in the side. He's got the amazing yellow spacesuit. He's just and he's basically just Bobby Brown. You just picture Bobby Brown as a dog. That's Powerline. And that kind of sums up all of that. I mean, they don't, obviously, none of these characters are ever mentioned to be a black character. So they never mention race in Goofy movie anyway. But when you see him, you get it. And I almost didn't want to add Powerline because it's such an obvious choice. But also, how can I pass up an opportunity to promote Eye to Eye on this podcast? When else would I get a chance to do? You know what? We're going to do a whole Powerline episode because he's amazing. Number 5 in the list of the thing with the long title, The Martian Manhunter, DC's Martian Superman. Now, Martian Manhunter is another green hero. He's a Martian. It's right there in the name. He's one of the he's one of the many actually superheroes that leave very little to the imagination when it comes to their name. He's a Martian and he hunts men. But though I never read a story about him hunting a man, but I suppose when he's dressed up like a human, he can not morph. I guess morph. He can morph himself to look like a human being. And whenever he does, he usually turns into a detective. So he does hunt men and women. He doesn't murder them or anything. He just kind of hunts them down for the police. But a lot of incarnations of John Johns, the Martian Manhunter, he does make himself into a black man. In the OG Smallville show, they had a version of John Johns. His name is so weird, John Johns. And he was played by Philip Morris, very amazing character actor. The animated version of Martian Manhunter was voiced by Carl Winston and Kevin Michael Richardson in both Justice League Unlimited and Justice League Young Justice, respectively. So he's been played by a lot of black actors, and he's been portrayed as a black man in the Justice League movie by Zack Snyder. If you go back and watch, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, the general in all those movies is played by a black man, and I can't for the life of me remember his name. David Harewood plays a version of the Martian Manhunter in the Supergirl series. So they lean into the fact that he that the Martian Manhunter tends to choose to portray himself as a black man when on Earth before, reverting back to his mega green form. Next, in the list of characters that are black, because they're black and not totally black, blackity black, is Frylock from the Adult Swim series Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Now, this one was a very strange show that I would watch and can't remember ever wanting to watch, but the character of Frylock, who was the level-headed, superpowered, floating cup of French fries, was definitely a black dude. And he was voiced by Carrie Means. Frylock was such a strange character. He can shoot lasers from his eyes. He periodically would braid the French fries in his cup. So the French fries are his hair, and sometimes he would braid them and plait them to his plait. That's how West Indian I am. He'd plait them to his hair so that he had cornrows or something. It's such a bizarre cartoon that I'm not exactly sure what it was meant to do. But Frylock was definitely the leader in some sense because he was a super genius. He had superpowers, and he was always the level-headed one. He was always able to get a job. It's hard to explain. If you've never seen Aqua Teen Hunger Force, everything I'm saying right now makes no friggin' sense whatsoever. And the character is even harder to picture. I would say picture a cup of McDonald's French fries with a goatee. Boy. Anyway, yeah, he's totally a black guy. Let's move on to our last, final entry into our list. 7 black characters that are not black, but are totally black, is Wheezy from Big City Greens. Now, I am a father. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and my 6-year-old daughter loves Big City Greens. It's a great cartoon on Disney, and it chronicles the life of a family who moved from a farm to the big city, and just the how they cope with living in a city versus where they come from in the farm, and how they integrate their lives into the city lives of their friends and whatnot. And Wheezy is one of the background characters that is blue. He's a little blue boy, which is a strange choice because I've watched a number of episodes with my daughter, and I don't remember a lot of characters are actually different colors. They're just random. Sometimes they're just blue. Sometimes they're orange or something. I don't know. But Wheezy is a little blue boy with the tightest fade you've ever seen. He's super laid back and speaks in very short phrases. He's always chill. He's the chillest person you've ever seen. And when you look at the character and kind of how they drew him, being blue was a, substitute for him being a little black boy. But I think a character like Wheezy would be right at home in some cartoon like Craig of the Creek, where, he would be best friends with Craig. He speaks in very short sentences. He's always kind of laid back and chill, and he's never, he's never boisterous. He's never, loud. He's just in the cut. He's the definition of a background character. But they painted him blue for some reason. When, to me, he's obviously a little black kid, especially with that tight fade he's got going. His hairline is crisp. I mean, he went to the barber and they lined him up right. All right, that is my revised list of 7 black characters that are not black but are totally black. You can find the original article on Super Black, and that's https:// super.black. That's right, super.black. That's the address. You can find 7 black characters that are not black but are totally black. Keep an eye out for the next installment, 7 other characters that are not black but are totally black. Click on through the site, see some stuff you like, tell a friend, tell many friends, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your mom's mom. Look, I appreciate you. I appreciate all your time you're giving me. Until next time, full stop.